Now let me start by saying this. I do not need to read your political books to give my opinion on the politics of the country in which I serve voluntarily. I do not need to read your quote-unquote political books to have an opinion on the country that sends the soldiers that I trained to the places where they were sent back in coffins, draped in flags, while much of their bodies and internal organs were buried on the sands from which they came back. Good and decent people of YouTube, if you're watching this, today is your lucky day. The reason why? Because I had someone come into my comment section, some ass clown, some dummy, some ignorant fool come into my comment section while I was defending democracy, defending the people of North Carolina from the Republican fascists trying to steal it away from them. And they left this comment. Now let me start by saying this. I do not need to read your political books to give my opinion on the politics of the country in which I serve voluntarily. I do not need to read your quote-unquote political books to have an opinion on the country that sends the soldiers that I trained to the places where they were sent back in coffins, draped in flags, while much of their bodies and internal organs were buried on the sands from which they came back and never returned with them. Even though the people I trained were supposed to just be there to do finances, secretarial work, filing. I do not need to read your political books to understand the inner workings of this government and how it affects me, my family, and even yours if they ever so wish to serve. So you should take my opinions with great humility before you speak foolishness in my comment section. But since you can't, since you're obviously the dumb, idiotic, foolish, poser, fake leftist, fake ally that you have proven yourself to be in one comment, and you have more, and I'll get to all of them, I've decided to take a more academic approach to your dismantling. For everyone else to enjoy your humiliation in its totality. So much so that I've decided to analyze your idiocy, your fucking moronity, in 3 separate parts to ensure that I leave nothing untouched about your failure as a human adult.
Part 1. Why at Marlena Kennedy 4508 is a disgusting failure of an adult human being. Fuck her, and everything she believes in.
That's right. Fuck you. And everything you believe in, because just like your unearned entitlement and superiority complex, it's built on sand. Nothing you believe in is worth anything. It's a lie, bolstered by your narcissism and your ignorance and your Dunning-Kruger specimen mind. Let's read together, YouTube, and find out what I mean by this. Marlena Kennedy 4508 says, please go read some political books. We'll get there, I promise you. Please go read some political books. You don't know what you're talking about. Crying emoji. Nice. You stupid fucking idiot. What does that mean, Marlena Kennedy? What does that mean? Go read some political books. You see, anybody who's actually read a book in their life, anyone of adult age who's been touched by the ability to understand nuance in any way by the virtue of being an intelligent adult would look at what you just posted and realize that it sounds like a 6-year-old. Precocious though they may be, trying to sound like a 30-year-old with an education they don't have. Why? What the fuck does political books mean? Go read some political books? Any political books? Which ones, Marlena? This one? That's a political book. Ayn Rand. This is a book. It's about politics. It's fiction. Do you know what it's about? Have you read it? This is a disgusting, horrifying book built on the promise of a capitalism that doesn't exist. What about this book? This is a political book. This what you meant, Marlena Kennedy? Huh? What about this one? This is a political book. Because you're such a fucking idiot and an imbecile and you're a moron and you're somebody who poses to be smarter than they are, go read some political books means nothing. It only means something to you because you haven't read any. It only means something to you because you think that somebody who's read books about politics must be smarter than you are. So you used that. You're a fucking idiot. You're an imbecile. You are uneducated, and your parents lied to you about how proud they are of your achievements. You're a failure. And this sentence is the proof of that failing. What political book, Marlena? Huh? This one? This is a political book. This is a book on politics, even though the words say killing Jesus. This is written by Bill O'Reilly, the sexual predator, the assaulter, who was a Fox News host before he was kicked out of there for doing what he did. Should I read his book? That's a political book. Go read some. Go read any. Which ones? You fucking stupid idiot. Which ones? Be specific. How about this one? This is a political book, Marlena. Is this what you meant? Is this what you're looking for? You fucking fake leftist cornball. Go read some political books. Someone with intelligence who's read a book who actually had an important thing to say about the subject of the video would have said, I think you should read this specific book that speaks to what you're talking about. You did not do that. You did not, Marlena. You know why? Because you haven't read any. My response was, let's read together, YouTube. Yes, please recommend one. That was the first trap. Either you would have none to recommend, or you would go Google political books like a fucking moron, like a fucking juvenile 6-year-old kid who has an undeveloped brain and is trying to be precocious enough to deal with the adults in the room of the adults while they belong at the kids' table. And you did just that. You Googled 2 names of 2 books that have nothing to do with the subject at hand. That's how I know that whatever you believe in is built on the same sand the sentence was. You're a fucking failure, and everything you believe in is false, even if it's right, because you didn't come to it yourself. You're not old enough or smart enough to have thought of your own ideas, to dwell in the nuance of intelligent adults. You're in the wrong area. Back to the kids' table, Marlena. That's number 1. Fuck you and whatever it is you believe in. You couldn't express it properly if you tried. There's another reason.
Why at Marlena Kennedy 4508 is a disgusting failure of an adult human being.
Marlena, your sentence sounds like a precocious 12-year-old trying to sound like a 30-year-old with higher education than they have. Why? I know why. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait till part 3 to understand that. But before we get there, because you're a civilian, I'll refrain from bringing your mother and your father into this and their failures. But because you're either a mother or a child yourself. Part 3. You guys, I found out by just a little bit of research into your YouTube channel. Because you're either one of the two, your children are fair game. Fucking dummy. Only in the respect that Their detriment is inevitable if you are their only parent. I hope not. Number one, if this is a child that you let loose onto the internet without proper supervision and they did that, then they're going to be the ones to receive this. And you're a failure as a parent. If it is you, your vocabulary, your mentality, your fakeness, your falseness, your lies, consistent in one sentence, lets me know that they are fucking doomed. And I hope you have help over there. Let's continue. You felt the nerve to come into someone's comment section and not just leave a little trolling comment. You used a pointed argument based on intelligence and discernment, reading, despite the fact that you don't know how to do either one of the two. So it was obvious in your sentencing, go read some political books, but also in your response. Look at this shit, YouTube. SB 382, Senate Bill 382 in North Carolina, for those following along, was the bill that vetoed and then out-vetoed to pass by majority Republicans to reduce Democrat power in North Carolina. The Democrat governor that was just voted into position by citizens. What's happening in North Carolina is no different than what McConnell did to Obama and the black mayor in New Bern, Alabama. Republicans don't want democracy. They want complete control. No fucking shit, Sherlock. That's what the video was about. Yeah. The Republican supermajority in North Carolina, ill-gotten supermajority, let's not forget, the General Assembly has now overturned the Democratic Governor Roy Cooper's veto of their ridiculous, disgusting Hurricane Helene Relief Fund bill. That's what the Republican Party is doing right now in North Carolina. They're stealing the election from people who were elected. That's how brazen and disgusting this party has become because no one is holding them accountable. Let's change it. This is an insidious, nefarious power grab by a losing party in North Carolina, filled with people that simply cannot accept the results of a free and fair election in that state. Which is why Governor Cooper vetoed the bill in the first place. I had my microphone moved, excuse me, I hope you guys heard that. Let's take it piece by piece, shall we, YouTube? SB 382, and what does it mean? Well, fortunately for you, Marlena, I didn't just use it as a way to try to look smart so people could pat me on the back. I made a whole nother video about it using our correspondence and who it actually mattered to. Want to see it? Here it go. Stuff like this, like Senate Bill 382 in North Carolina.
The last 30 minutes, Governor Roy Cooper vetoing Senate Bill 382.
That's the bill that contained disaster relief for Western North Carolina, but also the one that would have stripped powers from the incoming governor and attorney general.
The governor not mincing his words. He went on to say instead of giving small business grants to disaster counties, it strikes a cruel blow by blocking the extension of better unemployment benefits for people who've lost their jobs because of natural disasters.
What about your second sentence, you blooming fucking idiot? Huh? What's happening is no different than what happened to McConnell and Obama and the blah, blah, blah. Lucky for you, I've already talked about that as well in another video years ago before I had any help writing, before I had even somebody to watch the channel because it mattered to me, not because I had eyes on it and someone would pat me on the back. Here it goes. Mitch McConnell is without a doubt one of the most effective politicians in modern American history. This is the guy who stopped an American president from appointing a Supreme Court justice 11 months before that president was out of office. Now, morally, that's abhorrent. Sure. Politically, that's gangster. And the black mayor in New Bern, Alabama, that you don't even know the fucking name to. You just like to use it as a talking point so people can pat you on the back in the comment section. Unlike you, I did a video on that 2 years ago when it was happening. Patrick Braxton was elected the first black mayor of New Bern, Alabama in 2020. It's 2022, and he has not been allowed to be mayor. I'm going to say it again because I know that that's hard to comprehend. He has not been allowed to be mayor. How does that happen? Well, they lock the doors. They've changed the locks 3 times so far. They won't give him the money he needs, nor the financial records he needs to make any changes. They've appointed themselves back to their positions, including the old white mayor. You see, Alabama doesn't want to see a black person elevated unless they're in a tree or on a football field. I know, you're saying to yourself, well, that's just too harsh. It's painting with a broad brush. Well, if that's the case, change it. I have no obligation to you to make you feel better about your racist and backward state. Change it. The news media is going to tell you something like, well, there are a bunch of decent people there, and if that's the case, change it. Unlike you, I had something to say about it. And it wasn't just a talking point. For crackers and cookies, you fucking idiot. You insincere, fake, fucking lefty wannabe. Not only that you see exactly what it is that I'm talking about on this channel all the time, when nobody was watching. Not only that, I do read political books. It's just hard for you to imagine because you're a fucking racist who probably walks around and thinks that you're not one. That brings us to part 2, Mylanta Kennedy. My stomach hurts thinking about your idiocy.
Part 2. Why Marlena Kennedy 4508 is a racist sack of shit, and the worst kind of leftist Karen that represents the failure of our education system.
Follow us on all these things you see here, and our link tree is in the description. Maybe even get some merch.